Hi, I'm Jordan Stone with Good Ride, and we're finally getting this Colorado girl on some Never Summer boards. I'm wondering if it'll live up to its hype. I actually got on the entire Never Summer line. This was one of the boards that I was able to get on. This is the Cirrus. Pros of this board: it is super stable underfoot. In comparison to the rest of the boards, this one felt the best underfoot. It had a longer, kind of faster turning radius as in turning personality, but it felt a little heavier than all the other boards that was on there. It lacked some torsional flex, so took away some of the gas pedaling that I like to enjoy, and it was made that harder to control in tight terrain. This was tested in sequence with the rest of the Never Summer line for women. It started with the twin shapes and it progressed all the way through to the full directional. This was the fourth board that I got on. It was ridden on groomed, that had a variety of slope angles, and then ridden off-piste in tracked out powder and packed powder conditions. For continuity across the board, since I was comparing each one to the next, I stayed on the same runs, tried to do at least one run consistently with all of them, and then would take this on off-piste conditions to what I thought would match the board's personality the most. I rode this board with a directional stance of +18, -9, and a centered 20-inch stance. I rode it with my Trilogy bindings from Union in a size medium and my Solomon Dialogue boots in a men's size 7, equating to a women's size 8. I was able to get on the 149 Cirrus. 149 Cirrus here. This is designed for women from 120 up to 160, and they actually do a height recommendation of 5'4" up to 5'9". I am kind of on the lower end of that weight scale, but this one did feel good. There's 3 sizes: 141, 145, and then the 149. This is the largest board, but it does accommodate a wide range of riders. That waist width is 24.9, which is going to accommodate up to a size 8.5, 9 women's shoe. The Cirrus comes with a directional free ride shape with a mild taper of 8 millimeters from the tip to tail on this. The interesting thing that I found with Never Summer is they don't really have a reference stance on this. For continuity, I try to stay as close to what I usually do reference stance, which is between 19 and 20. For this one, I did a 20-inch reference stance. The edge is set back a little bit, and so is the stance. At a 20-inch reference, it's set back about 1.625 inches. If you set this all the way back to the furthest inserts that are available here, it does increase that nose about 2.75 inches, but it also increases your stance width to 20.5. Now, interestingly, I've noticed across all of these triple camber boards, this board performs a little bit better if you have a wider stance width, because it brings you closer to the apex of that outside camber. Right here, if you can see, is the furthest the insert, but that's about 23 inches, which is a really wide stance width. I was, again, at about a 20, so not all the way in on a 149, but pretty close. So new to 2026, all of the women's line will become equipped with their hybrid triple camber. This is characterized by 3 convex curves in between the feet and slightly outside of the inserts, with a little early rise. It's more of a transition area, and the tip and the tail. This also has an overall rocker between the inserts. So you're gonna see camber, a little camber right here, some rocker, and then camber again. So this triple camber wavering thing. This was on every single board that I got on, so this will be across the 2026 line. It was a unique experience being able to try each of the Never Summer boards in sequence, as I was really able to assess how that triple camber complemented the design of the board. The Cirrus, unlike the other 3 boards, was the first board where this unique camber locations did not play a huge role in the riding experience. I was barely aware of this camber outside as comparing to the previous boards. The loose, snappy feeling of the previous boards was replaced with a stiffer, more stable on-snow feel. Even skating to and from the lift felt more grounded. This allowed me to push the board a little bit more and really test the limits of its design without that kind of insecurity I had felt before. Given the much stiffer profile of this board and the skill level required to navigate this kind of unique camber. I recommend this board to intermediate to expert to even advanced riders looking for a powerful carving board. So just like all the other Never Summer boards, these boards shine when it comes to edge hold. That IP edge hold technology, it really holds up to the high standard that Never Summer has set for the industry. It really does give a feeling of locking into each turn. I really enjoyed how well this board was able to get onto edge, hold that edge all the way through the radius of the turn, and release. Never Summer Cirrus, this felt like the stiffest board out of the ones that I tried, out of all 5 boards. Let's see how it actually flexes. So through the center of the board, oh yeah, I gotta put some weight into that. So definitely stiff. This needs some breaking into, it needs some weight to really get through it. Let's see how the pop is. Not quite as much. You definitely have to work through that camber to get the flex. I think the more you ride this, the more you break into it, the better the pop's gonna feel. Down at the tail here, very stiff. Definitely doesn't have a lot of give to it. Flip her around and see here in the nose. Softer in the nose, so you can see that kind of bend and push through there. Still requires a lot of effort to kind of bend into it, but softer in the nose, transferring to pretty stiff. I mean, I'd call this a mid-stiff, even just to a stiff board from the inserts all the way back to that tail. Can get some pop out of it, but it definitely requires some energy and some weight, some power to manipulate it. I was able to get this board in some uneven snow, a little bit more hard packed, but mostly soft, uneven snow. The stiffer design of the Cirrus performed well in uneven snow. It absorbed a lot of the bumpy terrain while transitioning smoothly from tracked out snow to smooth snow. This may be a result of that RDS2 dampening system that they use in this. This is essentially an elastometric rubber that they do along the effective edge, and in this one also underfoot. It also has an all-wood core. That core includes poplar stringers that throughout the length of the board gives this a really stable underfoot feeling. This board is a carving machine. It's highly reminiscent of some of the other carving boards I've ridden, like the Karma from Nitro and the Flagship from Jones. It has a long, effective edge, a stiff flex, and directional shape with a little bit of taper in the tail. That combination of characteristics allows the rider to do fast, powerful turns without falling out of the edge, especially as the rider gets closer to the slope and leans into those turns. This does require some experience with initiating a true carve, and the lack of torsional flex removes the ability to really gas pedal into and out of the turn, which is something I like to do. The best approach to getting onto edge is to almost jump through the transition. This is great on open terrain, but it really hinders the rider in tighter terrains such as wooded areas or in technical chutes. Once I took this board off-piste and into trees, the turning experience was not as enjoyable. The dampening almost did too much, and it lacked the quick reactive turning I needed to get it through the trees with speed. I had to slow down significantly and actually swing the board through each turn. Not only was this exhausting, but it also impacted my confidence in the board. I was quick to get back on groomed open terrain to revisit that positive carving experience I had had before. This also gave the board some speed. Because it was the stiffest board in the lineup, it gave it an incredibly damp sensation when riding through a variety of conditions. This allowed me to open up and really put some speed under my feet. When on open terrain where I had time to navigate obstacles, the board went fast. It was my favorite board in the series of boards I tried just based on the rush I was able to get with that faster speeds. Gotta love that little bit of dopamine kick. This is the board that lets you jump to the front of the pack. The Cirrus comes equipped with a DuraSurf XT sintered 5501 5501 base. It's It's a lot of words. It's basically a sintered base. This board is going to benefit from regular waxings, condition-specific waxing. This board was given to us with a factory wax. I never really noticed the board sticking or slowing in the conditions that I rode. It wasn't the slickest base I've experienced, but I was very satisfied with the ability to get and maintain speed without waxing the board. I was only able to get this board in mild powder conditions with about 4 to 5 inches of tracked out terrain with pockets of about 6 inches, so an okay powder day. You can set the stance back slightly to get more tail and weight, and that early rise can help with keeping the nose flat, but if you're really looking for a powder board, consider the Proto Free Ride directional instead. The Cirrus from Never Summer is a perfect example of picking a board for the experience you want. This board was a completely different beast than the previous Never Summer boards I got on. It was super stable underfoot, which gave me the confidence to get up to some higher speeds. The phenomenal RIP edge hold allowed me to feel in control at high speeds and turned this board into a carving dream. I did not feel the instability of that triple camber on this board, which was a nice change from the previous boards. On steep, open terrain, this board will perform at a high level for the rider that wants to go fast and put in some deep trenches. What makes this board shine in open terrain is also what makes it a tricky board in tighter terrain. The stiff flex, tip to tail, and torsionally, it makes it harder to navigate when a quick reactive move is necessary, such as in wooded areas. Having to swing a board around each tree is exhausting, and it really takes away from the positive experience a rider is going to get on this board. Keep this board on smooth, open terrain and really dig into those turns, and I guarantee you'll have a great hard charging carver board. If you like our reviews, please like and share. That always helps us. And if you're looking for some advice, please follow the links. I'm happy to help in any way I possibly can. I've been riding boards and actually helping people demo boards and find the right fit for them for many, many years, and I'd be happy to help you.